Hello everyone, welcome back to Don't Gasp, it's just JASP, your Learning Lab tech tutorial. In this video, we're going to be going over how to conduct a paired samples t-test here in JASP. You may have heard of it by other names, potentially repeated measures t-test. It has different names, but you should become familiar with which one this is throughout this process. If you'd like to follow along, you can use the CSV file we've provided on the website. We have a previous video explaining how to import that if you would need help. But let's go ahead and begin. Let's say we're focusing on the speed variable today. We're interested in if college students exit the classroom faster after caffeine consumption. So speed 1 is their speed in seconds exiting a classroom before caffeine consumption, and speed 2 is their speed in seconds exiting the classroom after caffeine consumption. Speed 1 is before, speed 2 is after. To conduct our paired samples t-test, we're going to go back over to the t-test drop-down menu. Click paired samples t-test. Open up the window. Make sure it's on student. We're just looking for a difference. We're conducting a two-tailed hypothesis test here, so we're going to leave our alternative hypothesis as does not equal. If we were expecting college students to be faster, we would click the greater than for that one-tailed test. If we're expecting them to be slower after caffeine, we would click the less than sign for that one-tailed test. But we're just looking for a difference, so we're conducting our two-tailed test. And then we're going to go ahead and drag our variables over. How this works is it asks for variable pairs, your pairs of data. So you're going to have two columns of data. For my sake, for interpreting data, I always prefer to do your after variable minus your before variable when you're doing before and after, because it makes interpretation easier in my opinion. But it's not incorrect to switch it up, although your professors may have preferences for how you do this. So definitely check with them, because it will, as you can see, change the sign of your t statistic. So it does matter for that part, but the value will change, just the sign. But I'm going to stick to doing after minus before. Then I can go ahead and turn on my descriptive statistics here to get my means and standard deviations for each group, as well as standard error. And then remember, we're going to go ahead and do degrees of freedom for paired samples, or degrees of freedom is n minus 1 for number of pairs. So we had 35 pairs of data, so our degrees of freedom is 34. And as you can see here, our t-value is negative. So that is telling us that speed, so our speed is in seconds, so that's telling us that it took less time to leave the classroom after caffeine consumption, and our p-value tells us that this is significant because it's less than an alpha of 0.05. You may have a different alpha you set, but generally speaking, we're going to go with an alpha of 0.05 unless stated otherwise. And our p-value is less than 0.05, so that tells us that there is a significant difference in speed exiting the classroom after caffeine consumption, and we know that students are faster to leave after caffeine consumption. We can click on the effect size button here to get our Cohen's d. Again, just focus on the value, not the sign. We see that Cohen's d is negative 0.075. That tells us that this is going to be a large effect size. Again, consult your instructor or textbook for differences in interpreting Cohen's d values. But generally speaking, this is likely a large effect size. And then to get our 95% confidence interval, click location parameter, confidence interval. It's going to be centered on our mean difference. So for paired samples by hand, you might see it as the mean difference scores. So M sub D. This is our 95% confidence interval centered on it. And As you can see, 0, our population parameter for predicting our null. 0 is not in our confidence interval, so that also tells us that this is significant. But that is all you need to know for the paired samples t-test. Let us know if you have any questions. You can always come into the learning lab, ask your instructor. But that's all for this video. Again, stats are whack, but we've got your back. Have a wonderful day.